Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another great, super cool radio interview. I'm your host, as always, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for tuning in. I have an amazing guest joining me at this time. He's an incredible actor and musician, most notable for portraying Malachai in Children of the Corn. This year, he appeared in The Wrath of Becky and will release a new album entitled Safe Haven on October 2nd. Please welcome Courtney Gains.
I was told I could cuss, so I'm like, fuck yeah!
Yeah! That's right. Well, Courtney, it's an honor to have you on the podcast. I really appreciate it, and I've been very excited. I've been looking forward to chatting with you.
Right on, right on. One thing I want to add, just because you actually talked about what came out recently, which is cool. So yeah, Wrath of Becky came out really good if you had a chance to see it. But also I did a two-part Grand Theft Auto Los Dos Santos Drug Wars where I played character Lab Rat. He was the guy who makes all the acid and everything, and that was an absolutely hilarious and fun character to do. So wanted to throw that out too. If people are asking what's up, that's the other thing to go see for sure.
Oh, right on. I'm sorry that my notes are not updated for that, but that sounds amazing. Is that recent?
Yeah, it is. But unfortunately, on IMDb, the Los Santos Drug Wars online thing started in 2013. So it just attaches it to that as opposed to, part one came out in November and part two came out in March of 2023. But yeah, that's just not how the IMDb says it. It is.
I got you. Well, I'm glad you threw that in. I can't believe how long Grand Theft Auto has been going on.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was it's Rockstar, and I had gotten a gig in New York, and when we were doing it, they wouldn't tell us what we were working on. It was like I didn't even know it was Grand Theft Auto. But some people said I think it's Grand Theft Auto, and then when it was, I was just like, wow, I just worked on Grand Theft Auto. That's really awesome. But I had a really fun time doing it, and those guys there are great. But I really love the way it came out. Like I said, if you even go on like YouTube, you can look up clips, and see stuff. And it's just the character is sort of probably my closest homage to Dennis Hopper. I'll just say that.
Ooh, that sounds amazing. And I'm definitely gonna check out the clips on YouTube. So for doing that kind of work, so you didn't know what you were working on until afterwards? How did that work?
Yeah, they were keeping it super hush hush because I didn't know for sure until it came out.
Wow, that's cool. So I'm curious. I'm going to be going a little out of order because I'm curious about this. So
no worries.
for voice acting, do you prepare differently compared to live action acting?
Yeah, but this is the tip. Even though they say this is just a voiceover, it's really not, because you're in the whole bodysuit with the thingies and everything, right? And then you have the headgear on that's kind of a little camera mounted right in front of your face. And I did LA Noire back in the day too, and that was partially a Rockstar project, and that was when they just first started having that technology where they could actually see you move and your facial recognition. It was much more complicated. They've come a long way since then. But that's two. Yeah. So technically 2 projects I've done for Rockstar. And LA Noire is a very cool game. I'm not a big gamer, but that's a cool game. I mean, LA 1950s, pretty cool stuff.
Oh no, it definitely is. LA Noire, awesome game. I like the whole vibe and aesthetic of that. It's amazing. It turned out really amazing.
But that one, you had to do the movement in the suit, and then you had to go back months later and do the facial recognition sitting in a chair like this where you couldn't move with a bunch of little cameras all around you, and you have to do one line at a time. It was very painful. Now you can just act out the whole scene. They got the camera on your face. It's weird having that thing right there, but at least you could do all your moves. So the whole scene's blocked out and moves. So you're really acting. And they're getting your facial recognition and they're getting all your body movement. But the interesting thing is I had no idea even what my character looked like. That's the interesting thing. And the guy that played the lead, he looks nothing like the guy that the look they ended up using. Mine, similar-ish. But I had a beard about this long. I had to shave because they can't have a beard because they need all the mouth movement is the most important thing to be able to read the mouth. But I grew it back. Here we are.
All right. Well, I mean, dedication to the role. You have to shave.
You do what you gotta do, you know?
Exactly. So is it like more challenging to do that kind of stuff compared to just like filming on it like a for a movie, or is it just just a different experience?
Just a little bit different, you know. But what the thing I like about it, how to explain it? So everybody, you know, from whatever the leads are in it to the people that are like there's extra characters because you have to have more than one player and all this stuff, right? We're all in these same, you know, silly looking outfits all together. You know what I mean? It sort of makes us all like we're in the same uniform and there's no hierarchy or anything, and we're all in it together. And the director is just he was throwing stuff at us left and right, which made it really fun, but it was also challenging. And everybody would just dive in and play. And I think that's what made it really fun. Was we were all just you had it was like sink or swim, you know. Do this crazy thing, go, you know. And you gotta go. Well, let me think about this. You just had to go, and that made it really fun. That made it really fun and unpredictable. And but the guy knew what he was doing, and he would get great results in the end. And that's the most important thing. Every director has a different process. It's not that fun. You know, someone's just like walking your clear lines, you know, after maybe a little something. Then some really play and try to work it out and really try to find the truth of the scene. And that's how this guy was. So to me, I prefer that because you're evolving to something. I also, you know, I used to teach acting and I directed theater, and that's the same way I would go about it. You're trying to find the truth. And as an actor, that's what I'm always trying to get to, whether the director or the way they're shooting it's helping me. That's what I'm trying to get to. Like television does not afford you that, you know, like they're shooting too fast. You know, they come in, you immediately block the scene. If you basically do not flub your lines, you're moving on pretty much. So you got to know what you're doing and you got to nail it the first time, but it doesn't allow for much exploration, you know. But when you're shooting an hour show, 45 minutes worth of material in a week, that's just, you know, you're having to move, you know.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's very expedited with everything. You have to just get in and get out, you know, do what you have to do and then leave. So like,
the advantages they have though is that the sets are already built, the lights are usually already lit, so and they know what the show they're doing, so they can move. But still, it's for a guest like, you know, I'm me usually doing a guest star on a show. I've never had a series regular. They're not looking for, you know, was that good for you? Do you need to do another one? Yeah, they don't care, you know. So you better be ready. Take one.
Oh no, definitely for sure. So like with like that improving, like is that like the style you kind of like doing more like you'll be able to just improv stuff on the line, you know, on the fly, or is it like what is like your comfort range with that?
Well, as an actor, I got to be comfortable doing it all, right? And some like I said, some people are way more sticklers for dialogue, and others let you improv more. It's not just improv. Is they're giving you direction to the improv you're doing. An example though of a movie that I did a lot of improv and had a lot of fun with is a movie that came out in 2009 called Benny Bliss and the Disciples of Greatness. Now, I also produced that movie and created that character, and the director was very comfortable with improv. Martin Geeky, he'd done a lot before, worked with Saturday Night Live, some, this and that. So, and the first movie he ever did, he did the same way. So it was about 70% improv, and it was a lot of fun. But we know we get the context of the scene clear, you know, and then just go for it. And that was a lot of fun. And you just never knew it was going to come out of anybody's mouth, and that made it interesting, you know. So the more comfortable I am with the character and understanding the character, the easier it is for me to improv, because you have to do it without thinking too much, right? You got to be on your feet, as it were. So it just depends. But that movie's a rock and roll movie with an anti-technology message that the end of the movie is an actual, basically like a 30-minute concert that we performed live, and we shot it twice. And it's all we did. We shot it twice, and we had never rehearsed the entire set all the way through. And there was also all these other people I had to introduce as we went that we had never rehearsed. And we had like 100 extras. And after the first time, they were coming up to us going like, wow, how long has this band been playing together? And I was like, this is our first show. And they're like, this is the most fun we've ever had on a set in our life. And I was like, that's great. But the guys that were in the band were all pros. We're all like, and some of them have gone on to be do really, really well. Corey Britz, who played bass on this now, is a big time bass player. And it was a blast. But it was talk about improv. That was the most, I would say, without a net as an actor on film I've ever been in my life, was doing that concert. That was crazy fun.
Oh yeah, it definitely sounds like that's probably, yeah, definitely the biggest without a nets scenario was. So like, how'd you feel going into that?
Terrified. But that's, people don't like, people are always like, oh, I'm excited. I get terrified all the time. Like auditions can be terrifying if you don't feel you're quite prepared, you don't have enough time. I read a thing that totally put I was like, okay, I'm not insane. They said that actors auditioning is the equivalent of fear of test pilots testing a plane. And I was like a psychological study. And I was like, okay, I'm not insane, right? Like, because I've been feeling this stuff the whole time. And it's never gone away. Well, shooting that segment was like that. It was like that maybe times 10. And we'd been shooting it was the last days of shooting the movie. Everything had been leading up to this. If I did not deliver the goods on this moment, the movie was for naught. You know what I mean? And I was terrified, but it was like sink or swim, and that's also, it's also very exciting. And then when you get through it, the satisfaction you feel afterward is incredible. And that's kind of what's been going on with me musically now. So I have a band called the Courtney Gains Group that you can check. You can find us on Facebook to see the gigs we're doing. So I went from playing like in LA, playing more like showcase gigs, maybe 45 minutes of original material. And like, that's cool and that's fun and that's good. But out here where I'm in the Southeast now, you're the bar band for the night, right? So like you have to bring your own, including your own PA, and you have to play 3 45-minute sets. So you're up there for 3 hours essentially. And you obviously have to play a lot of covers, which I was never really into. And the covers I do, I try to interpret them in my own way. But that was a big leap from a 1 45-minute set of my original material to 3 45-minute sets, 70% covers. I'm doing it for about 8 months now, and it's been really good. But the first night I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. But it was, when I got through it, I was a better musician. And every time we show up at a new place, we have to gig, or we don't know the room, we don't know the people, and we have to suit up and show up. You gotta man up and make it happen, right? And the whole purpose of this was leading up to this record release, which is coming out October 2nd. And then next year we plan to hit the road some and start, touring the record. It was all about getting my act together so that by the time that time comes, my chops, because I switched in this band, it's a 3-piece band. I play bass and sing. My last band I had for years, I played guitar and sang, but I wanted a better lead guitar player this time, so I switched it up. So that was all part of it too, taking on a new instrument and all this stuff. But it's been great. If you're not terrified, I feel if you're, as an artist, if you're not really scared, you're not really stepping on the court and stretching yourself. That's how I feel.
And I definitely agree with that, because you have to push yourself, like,
right.
Out of your comfort level of doing stuff, because then that's how you grow. That's either,
right.
Hey, I tried it and maybe I failed this time, maybe I did great this time. It really just depends. But if you're not like pushing yourself, then you're not going to go anywhere.
On the court of life is where the action is, right? Anybody, I used to have season tickets to the Clippers, and I always say, like, any joker can pay his money to sit in the seats and yell at players and say, you suck. But those players are the best 1% players in the freaking world. Okay. The worst guy in the NBA is still one of the best 1% players in the freaking world. And I think people lose perspective of that, and I call it the Beavis and Butthead mentality. Anybody can sit there and go, that sucks. I'm always like, okay, it sucks. This movie sucks. Let's see you make a better one. This song sucks. Let's see you make a better one. This music video sucks. Let's see you make a better one. And if you can, great. Then you really have the right to say it sucks. But if not, then I think you'll find out the process is a lot tougher than you think.
Oh no, it definitely is. And some people do step up. Some people, they do make it happen. But a lot of people, they just talk and don't actually do anything.
Well, they just don't realize how hard it is, right? They don't. I mean, acting. If you're doing acting well, or even music, if you're doing it well, you're making it look easy. But that doesn't mean it is easy. And you know, a lot of times people, for the first time they get on stage and then all of a sudden they freeze and they're like, oh my God, like this is like hard. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Exactly. Exactly. That's why people go to class and study for years, you know, to learn this thing called a craft, you know?
Oh no, exactly. And I know you did touch on your new album, Safe Haven. I do want to talk about that because I had the opportunity to listen to it early.
Oh, good.
I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, man.
Because it's you know, it's some great rock and roll, a little bit more, you know, on the mellow side for some songs.
Yes.
My favorite is Good Times. I love that guitar solo.
Yeah, that's by far the edgiest tune of the bunch. Well, Yankee, that's the only song on the record where that's actually me playing lead. The other ones are all Guy Wallace. He's a really good guitar player. But yeah, that one, I've been playing that song for years and years. That's so three of those songs had been around a long time, and they were actually all in the Benny Bliss movie, and we were supposed to do a record, and then it never happened. And so I've always wanted to put those songs down, and then I wrote 3 newer songs. Those probably more the mellow ones. Lookout and Bills in Space and Safe Haven. Yeah, a little mellower. The Healer, Good Times, and what's the blanket on the fourth one now? It'll come to me in a second. But they definitely are a little from the past and a little more hard rocking, you know.
Oh no, they definitely. I really enjoyed kind of the layout of the tracks as well, because they really just kind of flowed into each other. I really like the dynamic of that, and you know, usually sometimes I listen to a few songs, take a break, come back. But like when I was listening to your music, like I wanted to start and finish like in the same like listening, like, you know, sit down and listen.
That's great.
So yeah, no, I definitely really enjoyed it. I think you had a really good sound like throughout the whole album with it.
Thank you.
So I'm curious for you. So like, how was it like writing? Like, well, you said these songs were from like years ago, but like, how was like the recording process for it?
Yeah. So before I forget, so the last song I couldn't remember right now was Big Brother, and that song is what kind of spawned the Benny Bliss movie, because the whole concept of Big Brother is that, you know, back when they wrote the play, and you know, Orwell in 1984 was about like people spying through us through our TVs and stuff, which I think they are. I think everybody, you know, to some degree. I mean, obviously, like when you go on YouTube, you just talk about something, and there it is. It's hard not to think they're not listening. But beyond that, we've become Big Brother. We're the ones filming everything now, right? Like here we are here we are there, taking pictures everywhere we go. Orwell never imagined how Big Brother was going to exist, was they were going to give us the cameras and then we were going to record ourselves, right? To keep track on everything. So that's what that song is, Who Knew Big Brother Would Turn Out to Be You. And that was really the linchpin to the anti-technology message of that song for Benny Bliss. That's what really kicked it off. So yeah, like I said, 3 of the songs are from the past, and then the 3 songs that were written recently. The recording process, how this whole thing really happened was during the pandemic, like everybody else, it made you take a look, right? And go, life is short. Like, what am I doing? And what do I want to be doing? Right. And I was like, I really want to, you know, make some music before it's over. I want to get some of these. I've been talking about these songs, recording these songs for a long time. I really want to get this stuff out. And so from that process, then you know, again, we're all home, right? So I had time to go down some rabbit holes and see how far the technology had come, and realize that I could actually buy some equipment relatively cheap now, you know, that you can easily plug into your computer. And what Pro Tools that used to cost back in the day, like 20 grand, it comes with the little stuff you buy. It comes, you know, like, it's like, things have come so far, just like the movie industry's come so far in that regard, right? You can shoot a movie on your phone now if you need to. So then that opened the door, because that was always the conversation, was how much studio time was. And then going like, okay, I'm going to spend all this money, but how am I going to earn the money? I don't have a record deal. I don't, like, how am I going to get this done? So now that opened the door to be able to start recording. And so first thing I did is I recorded a bunch of acoustic songs and put out a thing called Acoustic Gains Volume 1. And that you can find that on Spotify and in iTunes and all that, a bunch of singles. I also went down that whole rabbit hole of like, what's this whole Spotify thing? And now I think it's just crap because it's good for exposure, but it's not good for like, you could, 1,000 views, you're going to make 50 cents. You know what I mean? So it's like, not even that. So like, it really benefits Spotify. You're giving them free content essentially, but they don't seem to be benefiting the artist, in my opinion, at all. So, so this time I was looking for a label, and I'll get back to the recording in a second. So I was able to get a local record label called Fake Fang Records to pick it up. And so that's who's putting it out. And that's where you got to go to get it. FakeFangRecords.com. And you'll be able to listen to the record 3 times for free. And then if you like it, you can buy the digital, or there's also going to be a limited run of CDs and then an even more limited run of signed ones. So that's going to be the tier of opportunities. But that way we're getting the money direct, you know what I mean? And I think that's the way to do it at this point. But so I tracked most of I tracked all the bass and all the guitars and the vocals here in my little studio where you're at, and then had to go do something for the drums though, because that's the hardest part. The drums are so complicated to so we went to a studio and did that all in one day, which was really a lot, really tough. But that was again trying to stay on budget. And then brought in the guy Wallace, who became part of our band, and then he did the mix, and he brought his guitars and keyboard skills in and helped take it to the next level. And it ended up being much longer process than I had hoped for. But finally, it's getting out, but that's the thing. You take a project on, and it takes a life of its own, and it takes as long as it takes. You just got to keep grinding till you get it done. And by that time, you're like, I don't even know what I have anymore. It's like when you entered a movie at the end, you're just like, I don't know if there's any good. I don't know anything. You become so desensitized because you've been doing it for so long. So each time somebody like you gets to hear it for the first time and actually enjoys it, that makes me feel good, because at this point, I have no perspective on it. I'll be honest.
Yeah, you do kind of like when you work on something for so long, you do kind of lose perspective on it because you've heard it all so much before. It's like, I can't tell anymore. But no, definitely for someone who's, listened to it for a few times and it's new to me, I very much enjoyed it. So I'm curious. So did you do all the recording like for the drums and stuff, or did you have someone else do that? No,
that's where we went to a studio. That's where we did it. We did this. We like I said, we knocked it all out in one day. Because the drums is a tough animal. So many mics. You need a good room. So I didn't feel up to doing that here. So that was the only big expense really was the drummer.
And so did you have a session drummer, or did you play?
So no, I do not play drums. Okay. No. So as I was putting this record together, I was also looking to form this band, and I was putting it out, and I got referred to this guy who had just shown up from Connecticut, who just moved to where I live now in Savannah. And his name's Christopher Angeletti, and he's been a professional drummer now for like 30 years. He's quite good. So that's who we brought in to do the session work. And he's my drummer in my band as well. And he really, a good drummer. I mean, obviously it's only a 3-piece band. Every instrument's pivotal, but a good drummer can take you a long way. Just he can hold it down, and he. Good drummers in 3 bands, basically, unless the band hits big. And that's exactly, he flies back to Connecticut, he plays in a Pink Floyd tribute band, he plays this other band. He does, there's a dueling pianos gig here in Savannah that's like pays him really well, that he fills in for. And that means you have to know 300 tunes basically. And he can handle all that. He's on that level. And he really gives this band, a solid rock, behind us,
Oh yeah, definitely having that rhythm to it, and being able to keep time. Obviously, and drummers,
he can keep time, and he can do fills and all that at the same, and keep it together. And you can, like I said, there's really almost nothing you can't throw at this guy. He likes to play in like prog bands and stuff to make it interesting for himself, So this is like it's good. He enjoys it because there's enough originals we're playing. It's not just doing all covers, and that he got to, play on the record and stuff, that there's actually a band, and then we're going to go out and hit the road a little bit. All those things, I think, keep him intrigued. But, the reality is this stuff is not too complicated for him. He can more than handle it,
Oh, no, exactly. For sure. So I'm curious, and I've heard, I've read some of the press release So you guys are, and as you said, you guys are planning to tour next year for this record. Are you at liberty right now to kind of give any details or like what the idea is?
Truthfully, don't know yet. Like we're in the whole process of starting to do the booking thing, and it's just that's our intention, and we're going to do it. And the guy from the Jim Reed from the label is going to help us out as well. But it's navigating, figuring out acting stuff, like finding an agent or things like that. It seemed far easier to me than finding like booking agents and things in music. Music seems like a very tough nut to crack. Like you got to know somebody that knows somebody to get to the person. Not that doesn't happen some in acting, but I always had much more support as an actor than I've had as a musician, and I'm starting to gain that now with Jim picking us up the label and his experience, and a guy like a drummer like Christopher, who's been around a long time. These things are helping me put it together. My girlfriend has also been an enormous help. She's a manager, an acting manager, and so she knows how to get, she knows the process of getting bookings. So she's really helped me take on finding bookings for gigs locally. We'll basically play, anywhere from 2 hours out from Savannah, we'll gig. If they'll pay us, we'll gig. So but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but she loves that kind of tenaciousness of getting a gig. She's the right person for that job. So she's helped out. So that support has helped me out tremendously. But one of the things I can tell you, and I can't tell you the dates yet or anything though, and it's also on the thing is, so Children of the Corn 40th anniversary is coming up, and I did a drive-in last year up in the Catskills, and this guy that put that together has one of the few 35 millimeter prints left of Children of the Corn, and he knows a bunch of other art houses. And he's like, I'll help you set this up where we'll show the movie, do a Q&A, and you can have the band play and then do a VIP thing. I'm like, that would be fantastic. So I've been waiting to finally lock the release date now. Now that that's done, we can start putting these dates together. But at least 4 or 5 of those are going to happen. And I think that's going to be crazy fun.
That sounds like an amazing experience.
And I hope to book some gigs, music gigs, with some of the acting conventions I'll be doing this next year too. I'm going to be pushing for that, just because I would like to play for my fan base. Right? It's like playing a gig where you're brought into, and it's a restaurant and a bar or whatever. They may not be there to see you. You're just there to be the entertainment. But when I can do gigs where people are there to just see me, then that's an interesting expectation, right? Because they're like, they know I'm an actor, but like, can I really play music? The bars, they're looking at, like, they're there to see either it's going to be a train wreck or it's going to be a good time, right? That's where they're at. And I love that. I love that moment. The first time you start playing a song and you open your mouth and they hear you sing and you see the look in their face and they go, okay, this is going to be cool. Let's have fun, is cool. So I want to be playing more for for my fan base out there. But like I said, I've been cutting my teeth and getting the band tight, and that's all important and that's all good so that when we show up, we're ready. But I definitely want to connect more this next year, pushing this CD, but also connecting with people who actually want to come see what I can do,
Oh no, for sure. And I did want to ask, because you touched on a little bit. Has there been any people that you met like before your gig and they were kind of like, were like doubtful of you, like, oh, I didn't know
you can see the look on their face, man. You can
really?
Oh yeah. We did a gig in Augusta that was really pushed as a gig. The guy really pushed it for me being there. Courtney Gains was showing up, and so that gig, everybody was there to see me. It wasn't just they knew I was going to be there. They promoted it well, and you could see the look on their face, and it was all like kind of like. And it's like, okay, can he play or can't he play? If he can't play, at least I'll get some of my swag signed and that'll be cool, but they were there. I'm telling you, they were there to see the train wreck or to see, a good time. And we ended up having a great time. So I know the difference between playing for, like I said, my fan base and not. And so I really do want to have more of a chance to do that because they're just going to be more invested. So
oh, no, yeah, definitely, for sure, especially that fan base, and if they're already there, they're definitely going to be invested in not just you as an actor, but you as a musician as well. I like to see it live. I'm so hopefully I do get that opportunity.
Where are you out of?
South Bend, Indiana.
South Bend, Indiana. Okay, well, hopefully make it out that far.
Right.
So I have one thing coming up like that I do know of, and I'm going to click on it right now to make sure I get it right. So it's called the it's a haunted attraction called the Haunted Pyramids in North Carolina. And the band is playing the 15th and the 16th of October.
Wow.
And that's going to be for nothing but like horror fans, right? I mean, the rest of the bands are going to be all metal, basically. So I'm looking forward to that because that's going to be out in the woods. That's going to be nothing but horror fans and Halloween, weekends, and I know we're going to be the least quote unquote hard band. So we'll play them some Sabbath and some stuff like that. Maybe that's about as hard as we're going to get, but I'm looking forward to that because that's going to be, I figure it's going to be a pretty good turnout, number one. I think, easily 300 people or something, at least, I would think, maybe more. But also, like I said, my fan base, and they're again going to be going like, what's this dude going to do? like, we're here to see a bunch of metal bands. What's this dude going to do? And, I intend to, set the bar. I think one night we're opening and one night we're the second band. And my intention is to bring the heat, and then somebody's got to follow that. So, let's go. That's where I'm at with that. I'm actually excited about that gig, and 2 days in a row too, which is cool. Band playing back to back is nice. Get you in a groove.
Oh yeah, no, definitely for sure. And that event sounds actually awesome and so cool. I do hope you have a great time because that's just so cool. A festival or a show at a haunted house. That sounds amazing.
Doesn't that sound like fun?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. If I was closer on that East Coast, man, I would be there because that sounds cool.
Right on.
I did have a question for you. So, like, do you have a favorite song, a favorite original song to perform live?
Yeah, that's I've been getting asked similar questions about that and the record as well. Like, what's your favorite song on the record? Favorite song to play, original song. That's tough. On the record, I keep saying "Good Times," and the reason is that I've had that song since my first band. So that song's going all the way back to the 80s, and it's always been a song that got people on their feet. Like when I originally started playing, it was in acoustic bands, and even then people would get up and dance to it. It was often our closer. So that's why I wanted to close with it on this record. And like you said, it's the most rocker. So I'd have to say that's probably one of my most fun songs to perform because I always know it's going to get people on their feet and going. So I can't wait to play that. That's definitely going to be one of the songs we play in that North Carolina gig. That'll probably be our closer. And I want to see if we can get those heads a banging,
That should be the goal, man. Get people moving, get people headbanging, man. I mean,
that song does it. I mean, if you can get people to dance to that song acoustically, I mean, if you can do that, I mean, I was taught that like if a song sounded, if you wrote a song on piano or acoustic guitar and it sounded good, bare bones, you've got a good song, So you take it from that, and then now you rock it out, it should get them going. So. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to end with for sure.
Oh, no, right on. That sounds awesome. So to follow that question, favorite cover song to perform live?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say the song we open with in the act right now, which is Desperado, but play it much more up-tempo. It's not such a ballad. I think it's just a really good song, but again, I had to, for me, I got to kind of incorporate it into my own way of doing stuff. And so picked up the tempo, and it's a good opener. I enjoy playing it, and it usually establishes pretty quickly to the crowd that like, okay, these guys don't suck. It's going to be a good night. And an interesting interpretation. Okay, whatever we're going to hear tonight, it's not going to be on the nose covers for the most part, which is pretty true. Because I don't want to try to sound like anybody else anyway, nor am I that kind of musician. I play by my own sense of the emotional connection to the material. I'm trying to think of another song I like to play a lot. Into the Mystic. I can't think of his name right now. When I'm under pressure, I drop names all the time. It'll come to me in a minute. That's a great tune, so I really enjoy playing that.
Oh no, for sure. And being a musician, you should you have that creative kind of you can interpret the songs however you have your own connection to it. and you can have your own interpretation.
It's interesting, when I first present it to the other band members at first, they're a little skeptical, because they're like, what are we doing here? Because they've been playing these songs as covers for like years and years, and like I kind of put these spins on them. But then when we get up and play, they usually come off, and then they're like, okay, all right. And I think also they've been surprised that my originals go over well, which hasn't really surprised me because I've been playing originals most of my career, as it were, musically. I've been playing originals because that's what I really like to do. So I have confidence. I already had confidence that they would come over because I've seen the reactions before. But for them, it's been fun that they get to play originals that people are responding to, because most of these guys they've been having to do covers for most of their careers. So yeah, it's fun. But it's always great when people react well to the original material. But like I said, honestly I feel more comfortable playing my original material than I do the covers, and I think that comes across.
Oh no, for sure, because obviously you've written and recorded the songs, plus you created the song, so and plus you've been playing it for many years.
Most of them have been playing for a long time too, for years. So that's why they're just kind of already in my soul,
Oh no, definitely, for sure. And, it would come across playing for many years of these songs compared to learning some covers to play a 3-hour gig as you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, some of these guys, they've been playing those same songs for years, and they can play them in their sleep. So when I do if I make a change to them, it like throws them off. They're like, I've been playing it this way. I've been playing in a Pink Floyd tribute band. We ended here, and I'm like, yeah, no, we're gonna do that one more time through just to stretch the song out. Like we play "Wish You Were Here," which is a song I like a lot. That's the other thing. I've tried to pick covers that I'm not thinking in terms of like, will this please the crowd? I'm thinking in terms of like, can I connect to this song? If I can't connect to it, I don't want to do it, So I try to, but Wish You Were Here is a song I always really, really liked and really connect to. But it's funny, the drummer will get thrown off because like I'll play the second verse again just to stretch the song out. And he's always like, oh, that's right, we're doing it again. Because this guy can play that song in his sleep. He's played it so many times. Oh
no, for sure. It's hard to break that kind of muscle memory with it if you make the change, especially for 30 years. It's a hard.
If you're playing in a Pink Floyd tribute band, your job is to play those songs exactly as written.
Very strict.
And there's a skill and a craft to that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking it. It's just I'm going to do it. Like I said, I'm going to do it the way it's my band. I can do what I want.
Exactly. All right, so I did want to ask this one question, and then we close out this interview soon.
Sure.
But Courtney, I've had such a great time chatting with you. It's been incredible, and I really appreciate it.
You've done a good job with your questions, my friend. Good job.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. So I'm curious for you. Looking through your filmography and everything. You've had, I think, over 130 credits, for film and TV. Have there been any roles that you've taken that like there was either a challenge, either like filming it or getting into the character? Has there been any of the roles that have been like very challenging for you?
Well, sure. I mean, first off, I think one of the things that's cool about making movies is they're never the same twice, right? And I've never been on a series where I'm playing that same character for 5 years. I would take the money, but I imagine I'd also get bored after a while. Right? I just think, unless the writers really just kept stretching the character out. So every time I'm on a TV set, I'm there for a week, or every time I'm on a movie, we're there for, we're showing up in a new town. I love shooting on location, showing up in a new town. A whole group of people that don't know each other. It's like the circus comes to town and you make this thing and then it's over. You go your separate ways. Every project presents different challenges. It's like it's never like, oh, yes, I have experience. I have years and years of experience. But each project offers different challenges. Things that come to mind that would be difficult is the first video game I did was a thing called Wing Commander 3, which was the first video game that actually had human beings in it because they had enough RAM at that point to pull that off. But the entire thing was shot on green screen. There was almost no sets, almost no props, and there was these things called the Karathi that were supposed to be like these giant lion-looking things that were like 8 foot tall, and all the actors were freaking out because there was nothing to hold on to. You know what I mean? and it had all these alternative endings. So like the script was like this thick as opposed to this thick. And you go, okay, we're going to do this alternative ending. It was very confusing, but at least I had a technique. I had a method technique, Uda Hagen technique that allowed for visualization building and things. I wasn't great at it, but at least I was working with something, right? And I've never had to use that technique more than in that particular project. So I struggled with it, but at least I had one. There were other actors who were just like, I don't know what's going on, you know? And so that one was very challenging. TV-wise, the one that comes to mind is I did a Diagnosis Murder where I played a character who was paralyzed on his left side, but was pretending to have cerebral palsy with his right side. And because he'd gotten paralyzed by this basketball player in a game in high school, and then he became like the ball boy guy on the team, so he could poison him and kill him. And then at the end, you know, of course, you know, they figure it out, and then I come out of the whole faking I have cerebral palsy thing, and you know, yeah, he tried to assassinate me, blah blah blah. But I had, you know, 24 hours or maybe less than that to create the character for the audition, and then I had less than a week to do the character to do the TV show. You know, in my world, that separates the men from the boys right there. You know, so the fact that I was able to book that job and the fact that I was able to pull that off, you know, I definitely take some pride in that, because that was no cakewalk, let me tell you.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like, and to do all of that in such a short time and to pull it off, that's incredible.
Yeah, TV's tough that way. Either you got it or you don't got it. You're not, you know, it's not like, you know, when you're, you know, the bigger star you become, the easier in some ways it becomes, because you shoot less pages a day, you have more time to prepare. Those guys usually have, you know, often 3 months or more to prepare. And, you know, I say, if you give me 3 months, I'll do it for you in Chinese, you know, like, let's go. Like, that's like, I very rarely afforded that kind of luxury, at the most a month, maybe, you know, but even that rarely at this point. So that's often part of the challenge, is that I don't have that much time to prepare. So I have to, you know, I have to be able to make it happen and go with my big guns and pull it off. But yeah, cerebral palsy, like that's no cakewalk, man.
No.
And that was pre-internet, where I couldn't just go Google, you know, go on YouTube and see somebody with cerebral palsy. I had to go, like, you know, do research and things, and you know, it was definitely tough. But I'm proud of that performance. I think it's one of my better TV performances. I'm trying to think anything else that comes to mind. Nothing else is popping up right now. But like I said, every project presents its challenges, and you're always just trying to find that true north to what that character is really about, and try to make that character that maybe is written, sometimes particularly in television with a quick turnover, one-dimensional or best two-dimensional, trying to make them 3- and 4-dimensional, you know, make them a real person.
I know exactly. You have to make that character come to life with, you know, whatever role it is. You have to figure out, like, you know, who the character is and like what, you know, what they're going to be and who they are.
Correct. Sounds like you know a little bit about acting, my friend.
A little bit, you know, here and there, but you know,
Good.
I do got just a few more things as we're wrapping up this interview. Sure. I know you've kind of touched on, you know, what's coming up for you know, the rest of 2023 and early 2024. But anything else, like, you know, in the works for the fall or early 2024?
The other event I can tell people they want to come visit me is it's at the Mohegan Sun in Connecticut, the Phantasmacon. It's the Warrens, the freaking doll's going to be there from
Annabelle.
Yeah, the real Annabelle is going to be there. I keep saying, if I knew Annabelle was going to be there, I might not have signed on, man. I'm like, keep that in another room, dude.
Yeah, keep that in another building entirely.
Yeah, man, that thing's got some juju. I don't want anything to do with that. So
what's the date on that one?
Oh, the date is, let me click back on. It's Saturday, October 28th. At the Mohegan Sun, which is a casino, I think it's in Connecticut, and it's the Warren Seekers of the Supernatural Phantasmacon.
Nice. Well,
so I'm not doing that many shows this year because of course next year is the big dog. So that's where we're going to be hitting the big shows. And honestly, I keep telling people that's going to be my last run. I've been doing the conventions for about 15 years. I think I'm cooked. I think I'm ready to take a break. Maybe 45th anniversary, I'll come back or something. But I've been doing it a long time. It's been good. I don't, hey, it's helped. I always tell people, here's the job description: sit at a table, people come up excited to meet you, and then pay you your money to sign your name on things. What person in the world looking for a job would not take that job? That's the best job you could ever find. There are people that do these cons and you can tell are not happy to be there. I'm like, go lay bricks for a living then, man. That's a real job. Go lay roofs in 100-degree temperatures. That's a real job. This is as easy as it freaking gets. You should be happy and feel fortunate you're here. And so I feel fortunate, but I'm just getting older, getting tired of getting on planes and traveling, And so I don't want to be one of those. I've seen these dudes at these conventions who are like, 80 years old and they're wheeling them in a wheelchair. I just don't want to be that dude. So I think it's time to let's end it on a high note for the 40th anniversary and call it a day.
Yeah, no, definitely for sure. You got a great perspective on that as well. But I do hope you have a great time. You got some great events coming up. So anyone at that casino, I wouldn't be betting on anything if Annabelle's there. I think you're going to lose some money.
I think it's in a convention room separate to the.
Okay, I don't know. Good.
But yeah, who knows when Annabelle shows up, right? Who knows what's going to happen in this?
Or you could win a bunch of money. I don't know. You never know,
too, right? And that could be its own curse.
That's right.
All the bad things that have happened to lotto winners, man.
Exactly. Oh, that's for sure. That's real.
Yeah, that is real.
So I know. Before we get on that whole discussion, even though that'll be a great discussion to have maybe next time, because
there you go.
With everything with going on with those lotto winners. But I do want to talk about, so as we're closing out this interview, where are the best places to find Courtney Gains online?
Oh, great, yeah. So Facebook, there's Courtney Gains, page, and then Facebook, there's the Courtney Gains group for the band. And then you can also find Courtney Gains on Instagram. I'm not good with all that, like official this and official that. Just look on there. You'll know it's my stuff I'm posting. Nobody else is going to be posting that stuff. You know what I mean? It's not something you can get off of Google or something. So, but yeah, those are the three socials. That's about as much as I can possibly handle. I made a movie about anti-technology. Doing this is high level for me. That the streaming thing worked and we're talking is like amazing to me.
No, I got you for sure. But I will leave some links for Courtney Gains in the description. Thank you. Is the album available for pre-order?
I don't know if it is. That's a good question. I'm going to talk to the guy tomorrow. I'll find out. I'd say yes. I just say it's not up yet. That's what I would say. Okay. We're just finishing the artwork, so we're rolling along right now. But again, yeah, Fake Fang Records is where you want to go to get this thing, this safe haven thing.
That's right. I will leave a link for Fake Fangs in the description as well. Make sure you keep an eye out for that because I'm definitely snagging a CD. I can tell you that right now.
Thank you very much. Good. Good. I appreciate the support.
Of course. Courtney, again, I've had such a great time chatting with you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me here on the Super Cool Radio.
Super cool.
That's right. For Courtney Gains, I'm your host as always, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for watching and listening to Super Cool Radio. And remember, stay frosty.
There you go.